Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council meeting of April 14th at, well, a little bit after 7 p.m., about 7:07. We apologize for the delay. We're working on some technical issues, and we hope you'll bear with us and have some patience, as this is our first time conducting a meeting in this way. If you would all please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Susan, if you would start with the roll call, please. I'm not hearing Susan. Is anyone else hearing her?
Susan, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Counselor Anist? James, can you hear me?
Hold on.
We're all muted.
Okay, Counselor Anist.
Here.
Counselor Braverman?
Here.
Counselor Budraco?
Here.
Counselor Camillo?
Here.
Counselor Donahue?
Here.
Counselor Mankey?
Here.
Counselor Minor?
Here.
Counselor Nagel? Counselor Nagel? Mayor
Muted.
Federal Trade Commission, or FTC.
Oh.
Counselor Nagel, are you with us?
Muted.
He's there.
He's muted.
I just tried to unmute him. I'm sorry.
He's unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, Counselor Nagel?
Here.
Mayor Delvino?
Here. Okay, everyone's here. We're ready to start. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
So moved by Counselor Minor, seconded by Counselor Anist. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is public participation. I am going to ask Mr. Kopinski to help me to recognize the people that are waiting to participate in the meeting.
Hold on. All right, we do have 8 attendees. Any attendee who is on the line who would like to speak at this time may press either *9 on their telephone, or they may use the raise hand feature within the Zoom application. At this point, I don't have anybody who has raised their hand yet. At this point, I do have one individual. Her name is Barbara. With your permission, I will unmute her and allow her to speak.
Yes, please.
Barbara, you should be unmuted now. Please state your name and address for the record, and then you have 4 minutes.
Hi, this is Barbara Squillico, 275 Field Street. I first just want to say thank you, James, for helping me figure this all out. I appreciate it. And secondly, I'd like to just wish everybody in the council good health and stay safe through this virus that's running around. What I wanted to talk to, the issue that I wanted to just speak to tonight was the affordable housing grant application. There's a couple of things that I did not understand, and I was hoping when you get to that point that you'll probably answer some of my questions. One is, when is it going to be posted, and where on the website will it be posted so I can find it? And the other thing is too, is it going to list all the names and the street addresses of all the affordable housing that we currently have in Newington? And will it also list Section 8 and the short-term housing that is on the Berlin Turnpike? Because I'm also interested in knowing about that. The last question I had on that was, I do not know what national occurring affordable housing is. And I'm hoping somebody will speak to that. So I'm just clearer on what that really means. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara.
Anybody else who's on? We now have 9 attendees. Anybody who would like to speak, may either use *9 on their telephone or use raise hand at the bottom of their participants window. At this point, we don't have anybody.
Okay. We will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is remarks by counselors on public participation. And I'm going to ask the counselors, we had mentioned this earlier, just remind you to use the raise hand function also, just because I cannot at all times with the presentations fit everybody on the screen, so I may not see you on the screen if you don't use that function. Okay, so seeing no raised hands, we'll move on to the next item, which is consideration of old business. The first item is Town Hall project update. Mr. Chapman, if you would, please.
Yes, the town hall project update is still, it's still on target for a July closing, we'll say. They are now on the second floor. Painting and priming has been done on the first coat. The permanent lighting is being installed on in the ceiling grid, and millwork is being installed. Bathroom tiling is being installed. On the first floor, drywall and taping is substantially complete. Construction of the vault is substantially complete, and painting is continuing with the primer and first coat. On the third floor, the painting is ongoing with prime and first coat. Network cabling is ongoing. Millwork install has begun. The gym exterior brick, east elevation is complete. South elevation is beginning, and the community center window installations are substantially complete. And as I said, we're on target for a July 27th final completion and move-in. So we're moving right along. And
Wonderful.
I will say that the COVID-19 situation has not adversely impacted on the progress. They do have a nurse that's taking temperatures as the employees come into the building, and that will continue until further notice.
Do you know, I know at the renovation committee meeting, they mentioned having a company come in to sanitize at a really nominal cost, to be honest, for the amount of square footage. Do you know if that has happened?
Yes, it is underway. It is happening right now, yes.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the counselors or discussion on the matter? Ms. Bedrejko?
No, I just wanted to add, because I thought it was kind of interesting about the impact of the COVID-19. Thank goodness we were not, it has not adversely impacted the timeline or the completion date. But when the construction manager was giving his update, he said we were very fortunate to kind of escape some of the, because some of the plants that we get our materials from have shut down or we're in the process of perhaps shutting down, but we got all our material before that happened. So we were very fortunate that way. And again, you know, as the town manager mentioned, temperatures are being taken every day of the 65 to 70 workers that are on site. So I think, you know, we are in very good shape, and the town and the construction manager and all those associated have been doing a really good job to get us to our July completion date.
Great, thank you, Ms. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is health update. I believe that's you again, Mr. Chapman.
Yes, the COVID-19 has changed the way in which we're doing business. As you can tell by tonight's meeting, we have a number of employees that are working from home. We've switched the public works and parks field crews to a split shift operation where half work on early Sunday to Wednesday schedule. The Other half works from Wednesday afternoon through Saturday. The work that they're doing is work that has to get done with the assumption that this crisis will end, hopefully in May or early June, we'll say. So we have a lot of work to do on our ball fields. We have work to do on the roads. So we need to get that done in anticipation of a season that kids are going to want to play on those fields and so forth. We've been very fortunate also that we have not had any employees come down with this particular infection. We're keeping our fingers crossed. And at this point, there's about 90 people in the town that have been reported as being infected. It continues to rise. There is significant increases in the convalescent homes that are going on right now throughout Newington and the whole state. So we're just going to have to hang in there. We're trying to do everything we can to get all of our work done. All of the offices remain open. All of the offices have contact telephone numbers. And again, if someone comes to the town hall, they will find the doors are locked, but there are phone numbers at each door that the visitor can call whatever department they are seeking to talk to, and that department will service them at the door, depending on what their needs are. So we're moving along, and we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a question from Counselor Mankey.
Yeah, just a quick question. At any given day, how many employees are still in the building?
Oh, on a given day, I would say, well, geez, it's hard to say, but just guessing 6, not counting the police because they're in their separate building, but
Right.
I would say there's probably 20, 25 people in the building on any given day. But
And
there's
just
the work areas are pretty separated, so, and they know their, the distance regulations.
Yeah. Okay. How many are usually in the building on a given day, on a regular day?
I would say probably 40 to 45.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to piggyback on that, I know when I've been in the town hall myself, they are propping open the interior doors so that nobody has to kind of touch doorknobs, and sanitizer in every department. Like as soon as you walk in, you can sanitize your hands before you enter and as you exit. So a lot of precautions certainly have been put into place to make sure our employees are as safe as we can manage. Anything else, Mr. Chapman? Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't see any other raised hands. So next item is
Mayor?
discussion. Oh, I'm sorry.
There was an additional documentation that you all had requested last time for COVID costs, and that's actually included in the new presentation and was included in your folder as well.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. You did ask where we stood at this point, and based upon the recent data from today, we've expended about $10,500 on specifically on the COVID-19 situation. So it's not a lot of money. We're able to handle that certainly within the budget.
Councilor Pedreco?
Yes, I was just wondering, looking at the list, it's masks and wipes and whatever. So will this be something, is this like a week? Is this for a total for a week, a month, 2 weeks? And do we expect it to go through till, June or July?
This is up to date from the beginning of the crisis till today. So how much more we spend will depend on how long the crisis continues.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chapman, we would expect that about 75% of these expenses would be covered through the FEMA reimbursement, if I'm not mistaken?
That's what we're told. So we're keeping track, and we'll submit the FEMA paperwork as needed to hopefully obtain about a 75% return. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, no other hands are up at this moment, so we'll move on to discussion of Anna Reynolds Elementary School roof replacement. Mr. Chapman.
Okay. The latest report I've received from the superintendent is that the roof seems to be sealed up. I did request today as an update because of all the heavy rain yesterday. I don't believe I received that report. I know that the superintendent is one that may be working at home, so she may have not got my email. But at this point, the conditions are very favorable with the school. So hopefully it stays that way.
Okay, that's good news. And you'll see on the screen some of the logs that we have gotten. I will be interested to see if there's an update based on the heavy rain we've had over the past few days. But I know they had one incident, I believe, from a conversation I had with the board chair, but that they had quickly addressed that that issue. So hopefully we won't see any more. Oh, there it is on the screen, right? Okay. Any questions? Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to Affordable Housing Plan Technical Assistance Grant. So, Mr. Chapman, I see that Mr. Minor is on as an attendee. Is he planning on speaking to this today at all, or?
No, we kind of concluded that all the information that you had requested has been provided. We're ready to, move forward with it if the council so decides. But unless you have any questions, I don't have anything to add.
I'm looking for any raised hands before I continue. Let's see. Counselor Menke.
So just applying for a grant. So once we get the grant, then we'll do the study. That's correct, right?
That's correct. If we don't get the grant, we may not now because of what's happened with the cost of COVID-19 for the federal and state governments. We may not get as many grants as we were anticipating, and this may be
Right. So we're only authorizing the town to apply for the grant. We aren't guaranteed we get the grant. we don't do the study without the grant at this point.
That's
okay.
correct.
Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, you have a question?
Well, actually, one of the public, Barbara had a few questions on this. I think one of them was, you did answer about the state licensed group homes and the big gardens. But I think she asked something about Berlin Turnpike, the hotels that are used as basically housing for state cases. And also she asked for an explanation of naturally occurring affordable housing, if you can address that.
Yeah, under the documents that you have within your packet, if you look under 1C, it says detailed assessment of existing NOAA, naturally occurring affordable housing in Newington to include Section 8 units, if possible, in short-term housing on the Berlin Turnpike. So that was what you had requested last meeting, and that's what was requested by the individual. The naturally occurring affordable housing, I don't have a specific definition. And you said that Craig is online, Mayor?
I see him listed as an attendee, yes.
But I don't know if he's on.
I'm allowing him to talk right now. Just give me 1 second. Craig, are you there? Oh, hold on. Craig, are you? Oh, boy. Okay, I think he's there. Craig, are you there now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, yes, naturally occurring affordable housing is housing that's cheap merely because the market forces dictated that it be affordable. It's not rent controlled, it's not deed restricted. The low rent is not mandated by anything, it's just supply and demand resulted in that rent being low. And we have a lot of that kind of housing in Newington that's affordable without being in any way deed restricted or government controlled.
I think something happened. Third winner, yeah.
Okay. Counselor Bedrejko, did you have a question?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but
He's
I
on.
also
He's muted.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, that naturally occurring affordable housing isn't just rents, but it's the fact that Newington is an older community and many of our homes are older and not, of the assessed value is not what it is in some of the surrounding towns like West Hartford, Rocky Hill, Weathersfield, whatever. I thought it also included the fact that, again, because we are an older suburban, somewhat medium dense community, that we have these older homes whose value is not quite as high as those of surrounding communities. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we had enough. Mr. Camilla, did you have your hand up or did you? Counselor Camilla, are you okay? Did we lose him? I'm just going to pause for a second because I'm getting a message from Counselor Donahue that he's unable to unmute his microphone, and I'm trying to unmute him myself and I cannot. So I'm wondering
all
if
set.
you're all set.
All set now.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, again, members of the public, thank you for your patience with all of this new technology. We're working hard here to try and make it work as best we can. Any other questions on the Affordable Housing Plan or Technical Assistance Grant?
I'm good.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to an update to the Elections Emergency Operations Plan. We did review this at our last meeting, and I know that there is a change. There was an anticipated change related to some grant monies that may become available. Mr. Chapman, would you explain?
Yes, that's true. The last item on the emergency contingency plan for elections sheet of paper that was inserted into your packet includes the applications received grants funding from state and federal agencies. The town council authorizes the town manager or their designee at the request of the registrar of voters to apply for and receive grant funds that are available from state or federal agencies during a declared emergency declaration. That
Mayor?
was not in your previous ordinance, and this is timely because of what's going on right now. We really don't know how this primary that's coming up is going to be handled and what the cost will be that will be incurred. So if there are funds available now that you're going to have this into your ordinance plan, then we will be able to apply for those funds as needed if grants are available.
Okay, I
Mayor?
apologize. I'm realizing that we forgot to read in the resolution for the last item. I moved on too quickly, so I apologize for that. Is that why you both had your hands up?
Yeah,
Correct.
yes, correct.
Okay, so I will rewind just a bit and we will go back to the Affordable Housing Grant application. Who would like to read that into the record?
I'll read it.
Okay, Counselor Anist.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes Keith Chapman, Town Manager, to execute all necessary documentation for the submission of the application for an Affordable Housing Plan Technical Assistance Grant with the Connecticut Department of Housing, a copy of the executed application to be attached to this resolution.
Second.
Second by Counselor Menke. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You know what? I apologize. I said I was going to do a roll call, so I'm going to have Susan do a roll call for the voting.
Okay, ready?
Ready?
Okay, Counselor Anist,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Pillow,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor.
Counselor Minor says yes, he can't unmute himself.
Okay. Counselor Nagel,
He's saying.
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes. Counselor Minor, I see you now unmuted. Are you good?
I am unmuted, correct.
Dave
But
Nagel.
as soon as I try to remute, it locks me back out again.
Okay. And your vote was a yes?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So the motion passes unanimously. Okay, so I apologize for that. It's hard to follow the agenda and follow all the tech on the screen, so I'll try to do better. So we had already begun to discuss the update to the Elections Emergency Operation Plan. I'm sorry, Mr. Chapman, that I had switched back. I think you had finished your explanation. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, the only other change, the major change is that the backup location for voting, if there were a time when schools were not available, was the police department. However, after reviewing that, it was concluded that we kind of want to leave ourselves some ability to maneuver, because just as in this case, the schools are closed, but we do have permission to use the schools. But there may come a time when the schools and the police department and other buildings may not be available. So we need the flexibility to be able to select the locations depending on the type of emergency we're going through. So that's now new language that's in there as well.
Yeah, so many things to consider that we never had to consider before. So thank you for that. Any counselor question or comment? Okay, who'd like to read the motion into the record?
Beth, can you see me?
Nobody else?
I can't see everybody on my screen. I have too many things I'm managing. You would need to raise your hand if you want me to see you. I'm sorry, guys.
I raised my hand, Beth.
It's not showing, Dave. But that's Counselor Nagel. So go ahead, Counselor Nagel. You can read the motion.
Thanks. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby moves to repeal the Elections Emergency Contingency Plan previously adopted on February 26, 2013. Resolution number 2013-20, and adopts the revised Elections Emergency Contingency Plan, a copy of which is attached to this resolution pursuant to the Connecticut General Statutes number 9-174, Emergency Contingency Plan for Elections.
A second?
No call
Second.
representative is available at this time.
Second by
If you have any
Counselor
questions,
Menke.
please call 503-902-4274.
Hold on. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay, I just muted that mic. So hopefully, Mr. Minor, when we're ready, you can push your space bar. There was some background noise there. All right, so any discussion on the emergency elections plan now that the motion's been read in? Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Roll call. Roll call.
Gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I'm too busy clicking around on my screen.
That's for Counselor Annis. Counselor Annis. Counselor Braverman.
Yes.
Counselor
Yes.
Draco. Counselor Camillo.
Yes.
Counselor Donahue.
Yes.
Counselor Menke.
Yes.
Counselor Minor.
Yes.
Counselor Nagel. Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
Counselor Annis.
Yes.
Nagel. Counselor Draco.
Yes.
I heard everyone except for Counselor Nagel. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Yes.
accurate.
Ah, there he is. We got it.
Here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lost all of my faces on the screen, so I'm working on that. So I apologize if I look like I'm looking around, because I am.
Yeah, I'm in a meeting.
Okay. So we will move
So
on.
on the roll call vote, it was 9-0.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I got my faces back. Now I can see you all again. Great. Okay, so now we are moving on to the next item, which is discussion of the Anna Reynolds Public Building Committee funding request. As you know, at our past meetings, we've discussed this. The Anna Reynolds Building Committee has requested funding to go out for an OPM to get some figures on what the project would cost moving forward, so we would have accurate information. Mr. Chapman, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, there were 4 submissions that ranged from a low of about $60,000. The next highest was $76,000. The third highest being about $128,000, and the fourth being $197,000. they're all above the 50,000 mark that you had set aside. So that's all I can tell you.
So I will tell the rest of the council that at the agenda setting meeting, when this item came up, we did ask for information related to how much money was in the account. If we did approve this, the plan was to take the $50,000 out of the town council contingency fund. And right now there is just slightly over 50,000 in there, not enough to fully fund some of the higher requests that had come in for bids. So we need to decide as a council whether we're going to move forward with approving the 50,000 that was originally requested or how we'd like to proceed. I'll open it up for discussion, and I'm going to need you guys to use your raise your hand function so I can acknowledge you.
If I may, Mayor, just for the knowledge of all councilors, the low bid of 60,000, when the submission was made, it was not in writing. It was a question that was raised during the interview, and the individuals verbally said 60,000, but that probably will negate that quote or bid from even being considered.
Okay. I see Councilor Mankey's hand is up. Councilor Mankey?
Yeah, I guess I would recommend we stay with the 50,000. These are our uncharted waters here, and to spend all our contingency fund in one fell swoop, we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks or months. Strikes me as maybe being a dangerous move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can certainly appreciate that perspective.
I agree with Tim. I think we, the talk for months was 50,000, and at least that'll get them started.
Okay. Any other council comment or questions or discussion? I know I agree. I think we should stick to the 50,000 that was requested. We can provide that. If they need to find more, perhaps the Board of Education could manage to fund the remainder of it, or they may have to come back at another time. It's just that right now, with so much uncertainty, to take more out of our contingency than we had originally anticipated doesn't sound like a good plan for me. I don't see any other hands up, so would someone read the motion into the record for me, please? Who has it in front of them?
You want me to?
Sure. Deputy Mayor Pedraco?
Mayor, before she starts,
Yes.
there's just one small correction. When it went out in the packet, inadvertently, I used the memo information in it. And speaking with the finance director, the account number should read as 31190 as it is on the screen, not in the packet. Everything else is correct.
Thank you for that update.
Okay. Resolved, certification. In accordance with Section 808 of the Town Charter, I hereby certify that there exist free from encumbrances in the Special Contingency Account 10962-8220, $50,000. Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved, that the Newington Board of Education is requesting for the Anna Reynolds Public Building Committee to transfer the above certified funds in that special contingency account to the following account. Account number 31190, Public Building Fund, $50,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Newington Town Council, as fiscal authority for the town, hereby transfer $50,000 from the special contingency account to the expense account listed above.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Braverman. Any further discussion on the matter? Okay.
Counselor
Any further I'm sorry, any further discussion?
Sorry.
All right, seeing none, I'll call for a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Anist,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously, 9-0. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, it is the revised budget meeting schedule. As we're all aware, the budget schedule that we had originally set has been significantly impacted because of the response to the COVID virus. And due to the executive order by the governor that allows us to extend the timeline to the end of May, we did provide everyone in your packets with a revised meeting schedule. I'm just thinking this is listed as old business, but I believe this is new business.
Technically, we approved our agenda information before. We canceled our meetings 2 meetings ago, so it's still under
Executive order by the
old.
governor that allows us to. Okay, so this is the same business item. We're just revising it, so that's why it's under old. Thank you for clarifying, James. So if you look at the new schedule, I'll just go through it quickly. We are looking to schedule a Saturday, April 25th meeting at 9 a.m. It would be, these meetings will all be by Zoom, just to be clear. No public meeting in terms of getting together, but there will be public access just like this meeting. That meeting will be for departmental budget reviews. The council will be provided some correspondence in advance of that meeting to help us navigate the changes in the budget that that we would need to discuss. Tuesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. would be a regular meeting. Tuesday, May 5th at 6 p.m. would be the public hearing, and at 7 p.m. would be a special meeting regarding the budget. Tuesday, May 12th, 7 p.m. regular meeting, and then Tuesday, May 19th would be a special meeting where we would look to adopt the budget and set the mill rate, and then conduct any other council business as necessary. So I'll open it up for discussion on this. Anybody notice any issues with that schedule? Okay, so who can read that motion in for me, please?
I can get it.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Counselor Menke.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby revises the budget meetings and public hearing schedule as previously approved under Resolution 2020-6 on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. The final public hearing to review the Town Council's proposed budget will be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Annis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman, Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue, Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor, Counselor Nagel, Mayor Del Buono.
Yes. I just unmuted a couple of microphones if we want to try those people again that didn't respond.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
He's not unmuted.
Yeah, his is not.
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Yep, there you go.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
and that was it.
Okay, so that passes 9-0. Thank you, everyone. I know this is difficult, so I appreciate your patience. Moving on to the next item, which is consideration of new business. And the first item is participation in state deferment program and low interest rate program. This is related to the governor's executive order 7S. There is a waiver requested this evening, so I would like to ask for a motion to waive the rules to consider taking action on this item. Can someone?
So moved.
Thank you. I believe that was Deputy Mayor Budraco. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor of waiving the rules to take action on this item, we're going to take a roll call, please.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
He's muted.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
He's unmuted.
Counselor Nagel,
heard me.
Yes.
and Mayor Del.
Yes. All right, so the motion passes unanimously to waive the rules so we may take action on this item this evening. Could someone read the actual motion into the record, please, for discussion?
Read it in if you'd like.
Okay, Counselor Minor, thank you.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules and Procedures adopted February 11, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 7A to consider and take action on municipal tax assistance program.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Anderson. Okay, so now because we did waive the rules this evening, I would open it up to public participation on this motion before we discuss.
Mayor, he read the first one. You're actually onto your second. You already waived the rules?
Right, but now I have to open it to public participation for this, don't I?
No, he read the first motion, the waiver motion, instead of the actual motion. You guys already took the vote on the waiver.
Correct.
Sorry.
So he needs to read the second one on the page.
Okay,
You ready for that?
ready?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby moves that the town of Newington shall participate in the municipal deferment program in the low interest rate program as authorized under Executive Order 7S, Section 6, executed by Governor Lamont on April 1st, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
Second by Counselor Annis. Okay, now we've got that motion on the table. I will look to see if we have any attendees that are wishing to speak. So the members of the public, if you would like to speak on the waiving of the rules and on this motion, you may raise your hand as we did for public participation. We'll just give it a moment to give people a chance to navigate through their screens. I know it's challenging.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may suggest, we need to explain what it is you're moving tonight and passing. You'd like me to provide an explanation?
Yeah, I was going to do that. I was just offering public participation first. So go ahead, Mr. Chapman. That's fine.
Yeah, because they may not have an understanding as to how they want to participate until they understand what this really is for. But basically, it's two programs. The deferred program offers an extension of 90 days to the taxpayers to pay their July 2020 tax bills. In other words, it would be deferred for 90 days. So they would have a grace period that normally ends August 1st. It will now end October 1st. So they will have 90 days to pay late without being charged any penalty or interest. In the opinion of the tax office, they would recommend that the deferment program be adopted for all taxpayers without any exceptions because of the significance of the crisis we're in. The second item is a low interest rate program, which will extend to all taxpayers that have delinquent taxes as of March 10th, 2020. So if they're already delinquent, instead of being charged the rate of 18% annually, they will be charged 3% annually or 0.25% monthly for a period of 90 days that will end July 1st, 2020. So this program will allow taxpayers that have delinquent balances a reduction in interest for a maximum of 90 days, but payment has to be received within 90 days. If payment is not received by July 1st, 2020, then the interest rate reverts back to the 18%, as if the low interest rate program never existed. And again, in the opinion of the tax collector and the director of finance, they recommend that you adopt that program as well. And that's essentially what it's all about. With all of the language that's in all of the actions by the governor, this kind of brings it down into a way in which most people can understand.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. So let me just double check our public participation to see if anybody is raising their
Whatever
hand.
on time.
If any members of the public that are attending the meeting would like to speak or comment on this motion, you may raise your hand in the lower section of the participants window. Okay, I see Mr. Turco is with us. Let's hold. Mr. Turco, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome Representative Turco.
Thank you, Mayor DeBuono, and it's very nice to see and hear the rest of the town council, and thank you for the good work you're doing tonight. I just wanted to express my opinion on the motion before you regarding the deferment of property taxes for Newington residents. I think with the difficulties that Newington residents are facing right now with COVID-19 crisis, that a deferment of property taxes for 90 days would be appropriate and is much needed for many residents. And I urge the council to please vote for it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Is there any other members of the public that would wish to speak? I'm looking for any raised hands. Okay, seeing none, I'll open it for council discussion on the matter. Hold on, guys, I'm just switching screens again. Councilor Minor.
Yes, if you would, Mr. Town Manager, could you just clarify the deferment? It's October 1st with a 30-day grace period, bringing it to November 1st, or is it just to October 1st?
Oh, just to October 1st.
Okay.
Okay, all set, Councilor Minor?
Yes, thank you.
All right, next is Councilor Menke.
Yeah, I would just agree with this adoption of this. I think it gives our citizens a chance to sort of catch their breath for a couple of months. This has been a trying couple of months already. So I think it's the least we can do is to try to give them a chance to try to recover a little bit before that big tax bill comes due in July.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Menke. And Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
Yes, I just want to clarify this also, I mean, this applies to businesses as well as residents, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know whether this
Yes.
is,
All
thank
tax-
you.
all
I don't
property taxpayers.
Perfect.
I don't know whether this is the place to bring it up or not, but I do have a question. It kind of related to the hardship that it's going to have on our Newington residents and taxpayers. You know, as we've discussed before, we're a working class town, and our demographics, you know, reflect that. And a lot of, you know, our residents, you know, may be employed in retail, restaurant, around small businesses that may not be coming back in, you know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. So a short-term tax relief will be beneficial for hopefully many of them, but not for all of them. I'm wondering if there's a way, if you could get some statistics on how many of our residents, as a result of, you know, have applied for unemployment within the past, you know, month or two or whatever, because it might give us an idea on just how bad the impact's going to be in the future, because I'm not certain that everybody's going to be getting their positions back or businesses are going to be opening again. So it might help us for planning for the future if we could get those statistics.
Sure, we can request that information. I'm not sure at this point how valuable it would be until we really know what businesses are not going to be reopening, and if they're reopening, if they're going to be bringing back the same amount of employees or less than what they had before. From what I understand in talking with the business community, There's definitely going to be some changes that will not be beneficial to the employees or to the town overall, based upon whether some of the businesses survive. If you look at the rent, the landlords of those that rent, whether it be residential or commercial properties, they're not getting any rents. There's been some waiving done on that as well. So who knows at this stage, until we know the depth of how far we're going to have to go into this and how long it will take before we come out of it. It's difficult to know, but we'll try to gather information as it becomes available and update the council as we get it on what's happening with the employees of all of the businesses in town and those that live here but work out of town.
Right, because I think it would be interesting to, or it could be valuable to see the spike in unemployment claims filed by Newington residents to get kind of a broader impact on how much our town has been impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Next is Councilor Camillo.
Hi. Most of the mortgage companies and banks have deferred payments for 90 days also, and I believe about 70% of our tax base comes through mortgages being paid. So I think we're going to be okay there, but from what I hear, 15 to 25% of the small businesses that closed won't reopen again. And just keep our fingers crossed that everybody can hang in there and we can get back to work sooner than what's expected.
Absolutely. Councilor Anist?
Just want to clarify, this also goes for motor vehicle as well?
Let me just look that up if I could find it real quick. Let me take a look here. Eligible taxpayers, business, nonprofits, residents, or those back. I don't see as it stands right out. It just talks about real estate from what I'm reading here, not motor vehicles.
I believe
so not personal property or not motor vehicle.
I'm sorry?
So not personal property and not motor vehicle.
Again, what I'm reading right here does not specifically outline that, but
okay.
Let's see.
Can we get a clarification on that?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it is. Yes, the deferment is 90 days on real property, personal property, and motor vehicles. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the state of Connecticut document that's in our packets under the description if anybody needs to double check it. It also mentions municipal water, sewer, electric charges, assessments. I'm noticing that Miss Murphy's on the attendees list as well. So if we have questions, we can always click over to her as well. Are there any other questions? Okay. Hold on one second while I just gather my papers. Okay, so if we have no other questions, we'll go to a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Councilor Anist?
Yes.
Councilor Braverman?
Muted.
Councilor Good.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Menke?
Yes.
Councilor Nagel? Mayor Del Buono?
Yes.
We're waiting on Braverman? Minor?
Yes.
Okay,
Minor, yes.
okay. Councilor Nagel?
He's muted.
Beats me.
Yes.
There he is.
Okay,
Okay. Stu, that's everyone?
that's everyone.
All right, so the motion passes 9-0. I'm really glad we were able to go ahead and move that forward this evening for our residents. I'll tell you, I did get a few emails and phone calls from business owners especially that are really concerned about being able to meet their obligations with the taxes, and some of our bigger property owners that rent out to smaller businesses are very concerned as well. So I'm really glad we're able to at least provide this level of relief forward. So thanks for the support of that. The next item on the agenda under new business is the Fair Housing Month resolution. If you give me a moment, I just need to switch. Here. So that we do regularly, this is I believe it's the same month every year. Mr. Chapman, do you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, this is the annual event that you consider, it's called the Small Cities Grant Program. It's intended to assist in fair housing and working with the realtors and property owners. So, you know, again, it's a grant that we may or may not receive this year, but we should be applying for it anyway. Yes. I'm just saying that because I'm not optimistic any of these grants are going to be funded based upon what's going on, or they may be delayed till much later.
Yeah, that's certainly a risk. So this is new business. Is there any other questions or discussion on this matter? Okay, I don't see any raised hands, so there is a draft motion in our packet that will be for consideration at our next regular meeting. So we will move on now to minutes of previous meetings. Would someone,
I didn't get a chance to supply those in your packet, so we can move those to the next meeting.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't get them into the folder in time for you.
So do we need to motion? We should have probably amended the agenda at the beginning. Is
Yeah.
everyone okay with, can someone make a motion to table this to the next? Counselor Annis, are you making that motion?
I'll motion that we, make a motion that we table the minutes set forth in Article 8 to the next meeting, or Section 8.
Is there a second?
Item 8.
Second.
Second by Counselor Camillo. Any discussion other than the fact that we haven't been provided them yet? All right, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Boudreaux,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel. Del Buono.
Yes.
Counselor Nagel.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Motion passes 9-0, so those will be moved to our next agenda. The next item is that really long named agenda item, written oral communications from the town manager, other town agencies and officials, other governmental agencies and officials, and the public. Mr. Chapman, anything?
Just a few things. I do want to say that yesterday was a challenging day for the operations due to the heavy rain and the wind. We had about, I believe it was 9 trees that fell in town. We did go out and look at every one of those today to determine the damage and who's responsible for what. But overall, I'm very pleased to report we had no reported flooding anywhere in town, which really was amazing for the amount of water we did get. You know, overall, things are under these extreme conditions. I think we're doing pretty well. And as I said earlier, we're very fortunate that we haven't had any of the any employees be infected with this disease. And we're going to continue to do our best to protect everyone that's working for the town and our citizens. We do have the park ranger program in effect. It has been in effect for three weeks, we'll say. They're doing a good job. There still are some people that just are ignoring the rules that have been set out. But we're not here to arrest people and throw them in jail. We're here to try to teach them and guide them on how to conduct themselves in parks. But most people are using the parks for exactly what we intended, taking a leisurely walk and maybe bonding a little bit with their families more so than normal. But we have not had any major altercations whatsoever in the parks, and everybody's pretty much respecting the the rope around or the tape around most of the equipment. That's all.
Great. Thank you. Any questions by counselors? I will say, most of you know I live right near Badger baseball field. And today I saw, a dad and 2 kids there, just tossing the ball and running around the bases and, burning off some energy. And then another family walked up the street and entered the park, but very respectfully stayed behind the fence, just hung out and watched and waited. They didn't approach. So I think people are really taking it seriously. It's nice to see that, we're able to let people kind of burn off some energy and use, some of the open park space as appropriate for recreational use, as we had mentioned earlier, some passive recreation and stuff. So I'm glad to see that people are being respectful of it, and for the most part. And our next item is council liaison and committee reports. Anyone? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yes. Again, I think all of us have had some free time since the meetings have not gotten Zoomable yet, but there was an interesting, I thought it was kind of interesting meeting of town planning and zoning last week. And just a few highlights. A place of worship application has been made for Lowry Place. It's not going to be like a Sunday church. I believe their hours are going to be Thursday nights and Sunday evenings. So that'll be at least one more tenant in the Lowry Place Plaza. The second item, which is a little distressing, the Peckham Farm, which is on the other side of the Berlin Turnpike behind Walgreens. It's one of the last remaining, farm pieces of Newington, which would have been ideally, if the town had money and whatever, would have been nice to purchase, but whatever, it's going to be developed into a subdivision of homes. So that's being looked at now. But it is, a few years ago, the Open Space Committee did ask the Economic Development Director at that time, when we heard that the property might be up for sale, to see whether there would be any, way to kind of negotiate a reasonable price down. But the property there is very valuable in terms of, housing and development. So it's not that we didn't ignore it, but it's just too bad that we had to let it get away. But that will be coming down the pike. And then the third item, just we as a council had submitted to the TPZ for an 8-24 for that lot 88 along Stam Road. And TPC is actively working on it and has a few concerns, but they're going to be going out to do site visits, and they will get back to us with their recommendations.
Okay, thank you for that update. Any other council liaison or committee reports? I know I did mention earlier that the Town Hall Reno Committee met, and they did, they're using Zoom as well, and will be moving forward. We mentioned earlier about the sanitizing of the building. They're working on that. They're trying to, as Mr. Chapman mentioned, the biggest discussion really was about the safety and, limiting risk to the people that are working on the site. So they're really putting a lot of measures in to make sure that people are safe and that the project can continue. So that was good news. And that's about all I'm going to comment on for that. Any other committee reports? I don't see any hands up, so we'll move on to public participation. So again, the attendees that are in, if you go to the participant section at the bottom of your screen and you bring up the white box, and you can raise your hand at the bottom of that small white box that says participants if you'd like to speak. We'll just give it a minute for people to navigate and see if anyone's interested. Okay, I don't see any public members raising their hand at this point, so we'll move on to remarks by counselors. All is quiet. Wow, we should go to Zoom more often. Oh, Counselor Mankey, there you go.
All right, I got this clicker here. I'm ready to go. I just would like to thank everybody for their patience while we try to navigate this new system of this new normal of meetings. I know it's not ideal for the public, it's not ideal for the counselors, but it's the best way we can all keep ourselves safe and still conduct the town business. And I appreciate everybody kind of sticking with us as we try this. This is our first time trying this, so it's a new thing for all of us. Hopefully, we don't have to get really good at this because we should be back together again, hopefully soon. But for now, I think it's the only way we can have these meetings and keep everybody, both us and the public, safe. So thank you all.
Thank you, Counselor Menke. Anyone else? Okay. I would like to echo your sentiments. I know I've said it a few times to those that are watching and those that may watch in the future as we air this. Thank you for your patience with this. This is a new format for us, obviously, and it's a lot to navigate on the screen. So I appreciate your patience with us, and hopefully we'll get better each time we have to do this type of meeting. I wanted to thank our town employees and Mr. Chapman for the efforts that went in behind the scenes to organize all of this, because I know there have been test meetings and dry runs and all kinds of effort put into getting this stuff installed on our computers so that we can all participate from home. So thank you for that. And a quick shout out to our town employees who, as Mr. Chapman mentioned, are still working. They're doing everything they can to keep town hall up and running while it's not open to the public, so that we can at least provide those services to our residents. And some of us actually have a little time on our hands, so maybe we want to take advantage of some of those services right now. So I'm glad that our employees are really doing their share and more to help us continue to serve the town and our residents. So thank you to those employees and to Mr. Chapman for your leadership. Mr. Chapman, you have done an amazing job through a pandemic. When you came on for what you thought was going to be a short-term assignment, I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping you stay with us for the long haul, but I really can't thank you enough for your leadership through this time. It's been amazing. And just an aside from that, the fact that yesterday there was no flooding reported in town. I got no phone calls, no emails. Main Street, where it has flooded for years, down by that business down there, it didn't flood this time, and that really speaks to Chapman's efforts and his crew. He has been working diligently to have his employees, yes, Mr. Donahue, out working, cleaning out our waterways and the areas that needed to be cleaned out to get rid of those flooding issues, and we've seen a drastic improvement, so thank you for that. Nothing more obvious yesterday than that in my world, so thank you. All right, so that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Camilla, second by Counselor Menke. Any discussion? Susan, a roll call vote for us to get out of here.
Ennis? Counselor Braverman? Counselor Draco?
Yes.
Counselor Pillow?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Absolutely.
Counselor Menke?
Yes.
Counselor Minor?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel? Mayor Del Buono?
Yes.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Dave wants to stay, but guess what? The motion passed 8-1 at this point. Dave, are you there?
Finally.
Okay, there's Dave. All right, so the motion passes 9-0. We stand adjourned at 8:15. All right, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for participating.
Thank
Good night, everyone.
Everyone
Right.
stay well.
Healthy, everybody.
Lead meeting.
Stream.